I don't understand how people pick Edward slash Edith. I don't get it. They're so like brooding, and they're always like, I'm too dangerous for you. So, bit of a different video than what I previously did, where it was my booktube newbie tag. I'm in a different room. I'm in my room now, my bedroom. Sorry it's taken me like a month to get another video out. I've been really busy with placement as I'm currently trying to become a primary school teacher. So I had a lot of placement over a couple of weeks, and it all went really well because I got a job there. So yay for me. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Today we're here to talk about books. And I'm going to try and do this with as minimal editing as possible just because I would like to get something out tonight for you guys. Basically, the gist of this video is that I wanted to do something a bit more interactive than what I've usually done. I wanted to do something that would utilize. Why am I talking? I'm literally talking like a teacher now. I wanted to do a tier ranking of the books that I've read this year so far. Bang! There we go. Also, sorry about like the giant pimple that's on the top of my head. That's in between my eyes. It's gonna be totally and the squeaking of my chair. Oh my goodness. But you're gonna totally see this pimple on my head, and I don't want to pop it because yuck. Here are the books that I read this year so far. Year's not done yet. My reading goal is 100, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to reach that. So anyway, let's get started. I'm gonna try and do it in order of what I read this year, and then but I'll see if I can remember that. I probably won't be able to. Yeah, so I believe the first thing I read was Murtagh. So Murtagh is the sequel to the Aragon series. And for that one, I'm thinking of B or a C. And the reason why I'm thinking that is because I had a lot of fun going back into the world of Allegasia. I did like an entire reading of the series before I read Murtagh or Murtagh. I can't remember. But I did a whole reading of that and like of the series before Murtagh, and I thought it was great. I mean, it's very obviously written by a 15-year-old, but it's still impressive. Cool. Then the next ones I read were the Ranger's Apprentice ones. Now for these, I'm just gonna put them in C. So that's the first one. The Ruins of Gorlan and the Burning Bridge, because they are fun, but they weren't really enjoyable for me anymore. I still liked them. I now kind of understand that feeling of when the writing is a little too, I was gonna say juvenile. But like it's still a good series, and I still see the appeal of it. But it's quite boring. I just for me, like the writing was just boring, and maybe it was just because it's simple. It's written for kids. But I still, thoroughly enjoyed it. Then I think, damn, what did I go into next? And then I went to Percy Jackson. So at the start of the year, I went into a very big phase of trying to reread my old favorites because I was really depressed. So I thought that would help. It didn't. But I would put it in a B. I had a lot of fun with it, but again, I don't know. There's just something about it. I should probably be slowing down and talking more about these books. Hey. Nah, it'd take too long. And then I'll have like a 40-minute video. Cool. And then it is too hard to remember what I read next. Fuck. um, let's go down into this one. So Red Rising, I actually read this last year, so I don't know why I put it in here, but I really enjoyed it. I think I wouldn't give it an A, I wouldn't give it an S. Nah, but I enjoyed it more than these two. So I'd probably give Red Rising an A. I don't think it's the greatest thing I've ever read in my life, but it was still thoroughly enjoyable. And I read it quite quickly too. So I really loved the way that Pierce Brown created the world. There were things in it that I sort of was like, I don't know about that. But for the most part, it was quite good. I would like to reread it again now, having read the entire series. But I definitely think that it is the weakest one of the entire series. Um, I guess we'll go into we'll continue on. So I think Red Rising is the weakest, and still it's an A. Um, more I don't know. I want to put it like here, like at the top of B. I don't think it's an A. I think it's a B. But anyway, Golden Sun, one of the best things I've ever read this year, or in my life. Golden Sun was such a step up from the first one. I don't know how to explain how I feel about that book. It was the first book in years that's made me jump out of my seat and squeal so loudly. Um, on multiple occasions. And it was just like the world just opened up so much more. The characters were just a lot better. I thought the pacing was better. I thought the action was better. Just everything was better. And it completely blew me away. My housemate is absolutely screaming playing a game. But yeah, so it was absolutely fascinating. I loved this book. There were moments where it is some of like the coldest writing. So like just these moments where I imagine like, Sigma music would play. God, I hated saying that. But you know what I mean. Like it was actually well earned badass moments, I think. And not Sigma. But moments where I absolutely lost my shit thinking it was some of the coolest stuff I've ever read in my life. Then we had Morningstar, and I think Morningstar is still up there. Um, I don't think it's as good as Golden Sun. I think Golden Sun, just with its twists, were amazing. But Morningstar, I think, did a really good job of wrapping up that first trilogy really nicely. And I think there was, like the speech from Darrow was just incredible. Um, I think there's a lot to love about that book as well. And I read it in almost the same amount of time as I read Golden Sun, which was like 2 days. Then where is it? Iron Gold. I think it's an A, and I think I disagree with people that think that that's the worst one. I disagree, and the reason for that is because I'm in the world, and I think I enjoy the world for what it is already. I think the new POVs, people say it's distracting. I actually disagree. I don't think that switching from the first person Darrow to the POVs of different characters was distracting at all. I don't know why people struggle with that, but I just personally disagree in that regard. In that, I don't think it was that difficult to sort of get a grasp on. In fact, I think I read this one quicker than the first one. Um, and maybe it was because I was just in such a big mood for the Red Rising saga. But for me, seeing that world open up and become more, it was just great. I loved it. I don't know what else to say. I really loved it. I definitely see the flaws in the story. I definitely see the flaws in some of the characters. But for the most part, I think Iron Gold was just one of those ones that just, again, was awesome. And then we have Dark Age. And Dark Age, I am going to put in S tier, but it's not my favorite. And I understand that this is everyone's, like a lot of people's favorite. I understand that this one is everyone's favorite, or most people's favorite one. Man. Like, absolutely. 100% I agree that it is Pierce Brown's best writing of the series. 100% agree with that. But for me, it is so depressing. And, I think it tells you that through the title, Dark Age. But it's almost too depressing at times. They're like everything that the characters try and do just absolutely fails. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but I just like I don't know. It just there was some parts where I just sort of felt depressed. It took me about 2 to 3 weeks to read, and for me, like at that period, I'd read Golden Sun, Morning Star, and Iron Gold within like 10 days. Like I read those three so quickly within a short amount of time, and Dark Age took me so much longer than all three of those combined. And I think the reason for that is just because it was so fucked. And I don't know another word to use for that, but it just really made me sad. And that's a good thing. I'm invested in this world, and I liked that I was getting upset. But there was a particular chapter, and it's towards the end of the book. It's one of Lydia's POVs. Fuck me, you will know what it is. I was sitting on the tram, near my house, and I was getting close, and I was reading this book, and that chapter happened where the absolute fucking worst thing ever happens, and I actually closed it. I've never done that before. I've never had a book ever in my life, never, and I don't think it will ever happen again, where I read a passage out of a book and I said, you know what? Nah, I'm good for now. And I just put my bookmark in, I closed the wherever it was in that chapter, and I didn't read it for like 2 days because it's so upsetting. Which props to Pierce Brown, making me feel like that, you monster. And then we had Lightbringer. Now Lightbringer took me. I don't know if it was because I had a struggle to get through Dark Age, but Lightbringer took me months to read. And I read these four in January, I think. Maybe Dark Age was like start of February, but these were all ones that I finished in a relatively short time. Like even Dark Age, though it took me longer than the others, I still read them all in a really short amount of time. Lightbringer took me 6 months. And I don't know if it's just because I hit like a burnout, like a fatigue of the series, but yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't put it in S tier. I don't know if that's gonna give me hate or whatever. But honestly, I actually preferred Iron Gold. And I know that's wild to say that, but I don't know. Something about, and I know I just said that I want more, optimism and stuff, and that's what Lightbringer brings me. But it was just a lot. And I think I really hit the burnout here. Not to say, again, it's in A, it's a great book, but, you know, I didn't enjoy it as much as the other four up there. I've talked so much about Red Rising. Let's go into this. Twilight D. It's not good. The fan fiction, however, is amazing. I read the rest of the series. I read the rest of the series on like a fan fiction thing, and I self-inserted myself as the character because why wouldn't I? And now I totally get Team Jacob and Team Edward. As a kid, when I read the original Twilight series, I didn't really get it. I just sort of thought I like vampires better, so I'm Team Edward. um, but now after self-inserting myself into this story with the vampire and the werewolf, I think her name is Edith, is the Edward, and Jules is the Jacob. How did you not pick Team Jacob? I mean, I understand he has that weird thing, Renesmee, Renesmee, Loch Ness monster. Uh, but in the fan fiction, Jules was amazing. She gets really cranky, and she's like, "I'm a werewolf. That's why I get cranky. I'm really sorry." She apologizes. I don't understand how people pick Edward slash Edith. I don't get it. They're so like brooding, and they're always like, I'm too dangerous for you. You don't want me. No, I'm scared I'm gonna kill you. Whereas I get fucking Jules, who's like this tall, buff lady in a singlet who's like, sorry, I get a little angry sometimes, but I'm 100% here for you, and I'm warm, and I'm gonna carry you. Like, what the fuck? Like, how can you, how in your right mind would you pick Edith? I love vampires. Personally, I'm more of a vampire guy than a werewolf guy. But if I'm, in a love triangle with a vampire and a werewolf, I'm probably going to go for the werewolf. Even when she's a werewolf, she's going to protect you. And I know the vampire protect you, blah, 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 whatever. But come on, man, come on. Come on. I'm not wrong. I'm not. You can tell me I'm wrong, but I know I'm not wrong. Anyway, that's a whole. I've had arguments with my friends about that, but I'm right. Yeah. Anyway, Then let's go into June. June, yeah, put it in C. I didn't mind it, but you know, blah 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 blah. Whatever. It's June. June Messiah. You know what? No, let's create a new one. Can I not create a new one? Can I not create? Oh shit! Add a row below, and make it purple. Yeah. No, I want. Oh fuck me! I did that wrong. What was it? It was green, wasn't it? Right, this one. Well, now it needs to go fully green, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm gonna have the colors. F tier. Sorry, the baddest of the bad. June Messiah, what is wrong with you? You're the worst trash I've ever read in my life. I don't know why people like it. Boring, don't care, sexist. Like, fuck off. As if, what's her name? Alea? I can't remember. The sister. Like, she comes in and she's like, I'm a really powerful, like, Benny Gesserit offspring. And this fucking Duncan guy comes in. And I know who Duncan is. Don't just let me have a joke for a minute. But this fucking Duncan guy comes in and she's like, fuck me. Bro, whatever, bro. Who cares? You know, it's just the way that Brian Herbert write. Is it Brian Frank? I don't care. Fuck off. Like, the way that he writes women is actually disgusting. And you'd think he'd be better if he wrote about the Benny Gesserit and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe it just ticks me off the wrong way or whatever. I don't like it. Her whole personality was just revolving around this guy Duncan. And maybe I read that wrong, but I don't care. Like, you know, like, I just want to read about her psychic powers. I don't want to read about how she thinks he's hot, you know, whatever. Sure, go for your life, queen. I don't care. But I don't want to read about it. Give me something interesting, you know? And it's like the book is boring. It's so boring. I don't care. Yeah, sure, Paul's the bad guy. Whatever. And I'm sorry if I'm triggering fans of June Messiah. I just think it's an actual pile of dog shit, and I hated reading it. I don't know. Then onto fuck me. I guess I'll just go in order now. Then no. I'll go into my Rebecca Kwong era. So Poppy War, great, fantastic. I'm now realizing this video is getting quite long, longer than I wanted it to be. But Poppy War was fantastic. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. I've put a review on my TikTok, so go watch that if you want to hear more about my thoughts. Sorry, I was so brutal to June Messiah, but I don't care. Then I read Babel, and Babel is S tier for me. In fact, I think that's not the first one. I think Golden Sun is still my favorite read of this year, but Babel is up there, and I can't wait to do a reread of this. The first half of it was a little slow, but I still loved it, and I loved the way it was written, and I loved all the like Oxford University stuff. Love that. The second half, oh my god. Oh my god! You just read it, all right? It's fantastic. I will, if I had to suggest a book on here, I wouldn't even suggest Golden Sun. I'd suggest Babel. It's a standalone book that has a complete story in it, and that was fantastic and fulfilled me in more ways than I could have imagined. Then I had Yellowface, and Yellowface was still good. I liked it. I thought the viciousness of it was quite interesting. I thought that the take in the publishing industry in Australia was not Australia. Oh my god, just like in the world was fun as well. But yeah, I don't think it was as good as Babel or Poppy War, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it and thought it was quite good. Then I read. I gotta stop trying to put this in order. You know what? We'll go with Life in Outer Space. Now, Life in Outer Space, if for those of you who don't know, I would say this is probably the most unrecognizable book on this list. Is a really small standalone novel that was written by a lady called Melissa Keel in Melbourne, Australia. And I read this when I was in year 7, and it's about a Melbourne boy. It's actually a romance written, not written for men, but the POV is a young teenage boy in Melbourne, like an Australian nerdy boy. And for me, growing up as someone who really loved books and, wasn't traditionally masculine, the romance book like that just absolutely blew me out, away. And to this day, I would call it my favorite book of all time. And the reason for that is because I am such a romantic. um, I really love, and I don't hide that. But that book allowed me to process and sort of give me a way to process these emotions that I used to have as a kid. So if I had a crush on someone, I would feel them quite intensely. And that book was just perfect for me because he's such a dorky guy, the main character, Sam, and I related to him in so many different ways. And I love the way it was written. It's such a cute little tale. I still remember the whole book. In my head, I still remember the entire plot because it just sticks with me. And it is such like a um it's such like a, you could see it as one of those indie teen romance films. But it's so sweet. It is like legitimately one of the best books I've ever read, and not because its writing is amazing, but the story is so cute and I really love it. It's just one of my favorite books of all time, and I highly recommend you go see it. I also met the author Melissa Keel at an event. I think it was like a book con or something like that when I was in book club in high school, and I was such a big fan. In fact, my copy is signed, but it was one of those ones where I went and I chatted to her, the author, and I was so annoying to her. I think about it, and I was such an annoying kid. But so sorry to all those Australian authors that I went and met on book club excursions and annoyed the shit out of. Um, Talking to you, Melissa Keel and Ali Marnie. Look her up; she's also great. But you like was talking to her so much, and she told me that she was going to write me as a character in one of her next books. I haven't read any of her next books. That was awesome. I don't know if that was a character or if I was like in acknowledgements or something, but it was an awesome. I don't know if she did it. But I remember I should have followed her up on it, but whatever. Um, cool. And then Skippy dies. Damn, I read a lot of good books. Can't lie. Skippy Dice was great. I think there's a lot that I hated, but there was a lot that I loved. I love the way that Paul Murray wrote about it. I think a lot of it is disgusting and annoying, but I couldn't stop like reading. I don't know what else to say about it. It just was one of those ones where the tale of um knowing that Skippy dies, and yet he's one of the most cutest characters in a book I've ever read. He's just so sweet and he's so lovely. And you know what happens to him, and it just makes it even more worse. But even just like all his relationships with his friends and all of that, it's so lovely. Um, I loved it so much. And there's a lot to hate though in that book. And if you ever read it, or if you've ever read it, you'll understand why. But for me, amazing. Loved reading it. Cool. Then we had the Mistborn trilogy. I'm gonna try and do this as quick as I can. Final Empire, I'd put at A. Hero of Ages, I'd put at S, and Well of Ascension, funnily enough, I put it at S as well. So people are gonna think I'm crazy. Final Empire took me a long time to get through. These two I smashed out in like 2 weeks. I really liked the build up in Well of Ascension, and maybe that's just because I really liked the politics of it. And I know that people had a real gripe with how it was like sort of not a lot was happening, but for me, I really loved that. I didn't need the constant action like you know, the Final Empire. And I know that the Hero of Ages does have a lot of action too, but it's different. There's a lot more explored and a lot more revealed, whereas you're kept in the dark a lot in the Final Empire, which is fine. Suspense is great, but I really love the world building in those two. Trust of the Emerald Sea, amazing. In fact, I'm gonna put that at the top of A. I think that was just such a wonderful story. Um, Sorry, I'm just mucking around with those now. But I think it's just a wonderful little romance story. I had a lot of fun with Tress of the Emerald Sea and would highly recommend it to anyone who loves fairy tales. I just thought it was sweet. I really like the premise as well. The premise is so cool. Brandon Sanderson, I don't know how you do it. Then all the young dudes, I'm gonna put that in A as well. I know that's not like a accurate sort of Marauders retelling, but I really liked it. The only really big problem I had with it is that it was um the relationship between Sirius and Remus. And I'm a big fan of Wolfstar. Do not get me wrong, but in this one it was just abusive. And I don't know if everyone likes that, but the way that they're so aggressive to each other and the way that they like kind of belittle each other and ugh, hated it. But the rest of it, amazing. I wish we got more time with the rest of the Marauders though. And I also really want more characterization for Peter Pettigrew. And I feel like that's a common complaint across all Marauders fan fiction, to the point of where I'm almost tempted to write one about Peter Pettigrew. Because I think it would be so interesting to delve into the the mind of whatever. To go into that mind of someone that is courageous. He gets into Gryffindor for a reason, and then what makes him betray them? You say he's a coward, but how did he get? I don't know. Maybe these questions have already been answered, but I would love more about Peter Pettigrew. Give me more of him. I don't want him to just have a girlfriend and he's off making out somewhere. Great for him. Good on you, dude. But I want to read more about him, and I think even like the moments where he's like sort of homophobic in all the young dudes, I'm like, come on, man. Like, don't do that. Like, he's clearly one of their friends to the point of where they trust him enough to tell them about like James and Lily and give me more Peter. I want more Peter, man. Walking Dead, the entire comic series, because I didn't want to pull in every single volume. That shit is fire. All right, Walking Dead. If you haven't read it, it's incredible. In fact, I'm putting it up here. It's incredible. It's amazing. The art is incredible. Story is incredible. The characters are incredible. The drama is incredible. It's a freaking soap opera unfolding before your very eyes. It's awesome. I love The Walking Dead. I love zombies. I think this is one of the greatest comics ever. And speaking of comics, House of X, Power of X, this was awesome. Fucking trippy as, but I love it. It's great. Old Man Logan, it's alright. It's fine. But I don't think it. I really don't like this list. Hold on, I'm gonna rearrange these. I still think it's above these. Is it? Nah, it's here. That's wild that I like Life and Death more than these. Anyway, Old Man Logan, it's great, but I don't need every single issue of that to be telling me, oh shit, Logan's out there. Logan, help me. Yeah, I'm gonna help you, but I ain't popping these claws, bub. Logan, please get these guys. Yeah, I'm gonna get these guys, but I ain't popping these claws, bub. Logan, please go get me a latte, please. Yeah, I'll go get you a latte, but I ain't popping these claws, bub. Do you have any other sayings? It's fine. I think it's overhyped though, and I really like Old Man Hawkeye. I think that's sick. I think the concept of having this America that's been absolutely demolished by the villains is so interesting. I actually think, hear me out. I think the reason why he doesn't want to pop his claws anymore, kind of lackluster. Don't sue me. And then I read Living with It, and I'm gonna put that at A. I don't think it's S tier, but it's definitely up there. It's a little book by an Australian psychologist, I think, and it's just talking about anxiety and stress and how you can visualize that as like a creature called it. Not Stephen King. But it's a really cute little cartoon book that you can read it in a night. It's so chill. I think it's even written in Comic Sans, but it's brilliant. It's sweet. It helped me at a time in my life when I really needed it, just to visualize my stress as like a little furry monster guy. Um, but it was nice and it really lovely. I highly recommend it. Living with It. I think she's got more books, but I haven't read them yet. This was actually recommended to me by my mentor teacher at placement, and it really helped. So thanks, dude. And then we got Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot, I'll put that up here over in A. I think that was fantastic. Vampires, it was so fun. I obviously think there's, you know, it's Stephen King. He has his problems, but Salem's Lot was fantastic for me. I really enjoyed it. And I had a lot of fun reading it. I loved the characters. I thought it was probably the fastest I've gotten into a Stephen King book. That's a lie. Because Misery, up there, man. What the hell? Misery is so good. Like, I've read Stephen King before, but I've never read Misery before or watched the film. And I really want to watch the film. Maybe I should do like a reaction of it. I hate doing this, but drop a comment if you think I should watch the film and react to it. But I read that literally. I like read like 300 pages yesterday because I had a day off, and then I almost finished yesterday. And then I finished the last, 50 pages today. Such a short read, such a great, thrilling read. Like, I didn't want to get up and do my chores. Like, I just wanted to keep reading Misery, and it was so much fun. Annie Wilkes is one of the scariest people I've ever like read about. Just terrifying as a villain. So yeah, I don't know. That was a tier list of what I've read so far currently in this year. I hope you enjoy, and uh, my next video is gonna be about Stephen King, and sort of like my phase about how he got me out of my reading slump and why I think he did that, and all of this. It's Halloween. It's gonna be a spooky video. Don't expect me to have consistent upload schedules, which I've already pre-warned everyone about. But time to go edit, and I should hopefully have this out tonight. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.